you can get some extra benefits without really giving up money, but you're going to have a lot more benefits if you end up needing them. And like you said, 70%, especially if you're a married couple. Well, if it's 70% and there's two of you, right? That means one of you should probably, statistically speaking, have some issues. Welcome to Wealth Creator Radio, where we help people overcome the uncertainty of having enough retirement income. I'm your host, Eric Heckman, a certified financial planner with over 30 years of experience. We want you to enjoy life and not have to wonder where your money will come from and how long it'll last. My mission is to show you how to develop a personalized income plan so you can retire more and have worry less wealth. Here at Wealth Creator Radio, we cut through the noise and get straight to what matters. We understand that the world of retirement planning can be filled with confusing products, ever-changing tax laws, and volatile markets. That's why we're here to help successful people like you navigate the uncertainty and create a blueprint for a thriving, work-optional life.
The new year's getting closer, believe it or not. We hope you're looking back fondly on 2024 and looking forward to 2025. But you know what? There's still a little more work to do before you actually toast in the new year. Welcome to Wealth Creator Radio. Today, we'll ask Eric Heckman, certified financial planner and president of Heckman Financial, what we can do to hopefully set ourselves up financially for a great 2025. Here's our phone number as we start off our show, 800-454-1184. You may call that number. You may text VISIT. If you like texting, it's for a complimentary appointment, okay? 800-454-1184. Another thing you can do is text Toolbox for a complimentary toolbox that includes Eric's book, Blueprint to Worry Less Wealth, and other resources that you can get for retirement. Also, check out our podcast. Comes out every Tuesday morning. We'll have the entire show posted by 9 a.m. So if you missed part of this show, you can go back and listen to that via podcast. Just search for Wealth Creator Radio wherever you get your podcast. And remember, find us online anytime at wealthcreatorradio.com. And Eric, so good to be here with you today.
Yeah, no, it's definitely time to be started talking about, the new year and what you should be doing before that ball drops. And, I always tell people that tax planning is what you do in the current year. Tax reporting is what you do the year after. So, so this is the last chance to do any more tax planning for 2024.
So tell us why it's a good idea to take stock like this at the end of the year.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things happening always in somebody's financial plan. And, there's, even not even counting retirement stuff. It's just more just looking at, should you be doing some donations this year because you had some stock sales? Should you be doing selling off some of those losing stocks and, offsetting some of the gains of some other ones? A lot of little things that if you do it right and time it right, it can save you a lot of money. But it takes a little bit of knowledge and it takes more importantly, just a tiny bit of time to talk to somebody and, figure out what should I be doing.
So if someone's thinking, okay, this is what I need to do, I need to figure out where I'm at, where do you suggest they start, Eric?
Well, I mean, first of all, just looking at where your investments are. I mean, it's been a great year with the market and lots of run-ups. So one thing might not be a bad idea to rebalance right now. I know people hate to sell things when they're high, and then they wonder why they didn't sell it when it was high. But, well, it's high now. So it might be a great time to reallocate. So that's one thing where you can easily do that, like on your 401k or IRAs. So that's one thing. On taxable accounts, again, that's where you might want to sell off some losing stocks to offset some gains on some other ones. And then really just a lot of it can be tax type stuff too, right? Looking at where your tax situation is and, probably more importantly, should you be doing Roth conversions? Should you be paying some tax now while tax rates are still low? And then you get rid of that tax for the rest of your life. So it's a lot better deal. So yeah, there's a lot of issues that you should be doing. Really these all go back to that 4-letter word, plan. And, so that's one of the tough things is people just don't like to really take the time to plan. It's funny. People love to go on vacations. And if they spend a little bit more time planning their financial plan, they'd probably be able to afford more vacations. So, planning is not really that bad. So, there's a couple things you need. You need that income plan, that investment plan, the taxes, which all three of those are really highly tied together. healthcare, and legacy. So that's the 5 areas of the blueprint to worry less wealth. And that's, what we help people with is figuring that stuff out. So again, if you want to set a 15 to 30-minute phone call and just say, hey, Eric, what should I be thinking about? What should I be doing right now? Again, this is a perfect time of the year to be doing that. It's kind of like you see the finish line coming up, and time time to make sure you get it across it nice and fast and all good. So all you have to do is text the word visit if you want to set up a time to talk real quick. Just again, text the word visit to 800-454-1184. Again, that number's 800-454-1184. Or you can book it directly online at wealthcreatorradio.com.
And let me just say that your system, Eric, is working very well for retirees. And we are just reaching out to help retirees get that plan for retirement, get that toolbox. That's what this show is all about, to help guide people about what they need to know for retirement. And we just thank you so much for joining us. This is Wealth Creator Radio with Eric Heckman, founder of Heckman Financial. They're located right here in the Silicon Valley area. So I want to ask you then, as we're getting to year end, what about healthcare? What should we be thinking about with that?
Yeah, well, it's definitely some different times depending on your age, right? So if you're in Medicare season, 65 and up, this is the time to be looking at open enrollment. It goes through December 7th. So, definitely want to look at your plan. The most critical thing is with, assuming Trump doesn't turn these over, which he's threatened to do, but they're going to lower a ton of costs for seniors on lots of prescriptions. I mean, some of my clients will be saving, thousands. I know one at least will save tens of thousands. So, this is the stuff that, if you have a drug plan, you definitely want to be looking at that. If you're on regular insurance, obviously, if you have open enrollment, which a lot of companies do right now, you want to look to see, are you on the right plan? Are you paying too much? Maybe you should, go to a cheaper plan where you might have to pay more when you use it, but if you don't use it, you save some money.
Right.
And then lastly, if you have, some of those health savings accounts or flexible spending, see if you have to spend it all or what you need to do before year end.
Okay. And then you mentioned taxes. So important. Talk about that then.
Yeah. So taxes are huge, at year end. So again, this is something where, sometimes we set up donor advised funds for people because they've got maybe a bunch of company stock and they want to sell some off because it's run up so much. And then you can also get a donation and write those two off. And, so that's one thing. You can look at, looking at Roth conversions, as we talked about, maxing out that money because, the government wasn't paying its bills. I mean, when Trump took office the first time, it was 17 trillion in debt. Now we're at 36 almost. And all his proposals are to spend more money and not make any more money for the government. So that debt's just going to keep going up. And so where's that? How are we going to finally pay our bills? Well, it's going to be IRAs and 401ks. And so that's one of the biggest problems that we have is, nobody in Congress is really trying to pay our bills. So, until that finally happens, which hasn't happened since the 90s, that any money you got exposed to the government is going to be very, very highly dangerous. So if you can make some of those, and change those to being tax free for the rest of your life, you're going to be so much better off in retirement.
Any other big considerations we should be doing here?
Yeah, well, some things like if you're 73 and over, you have to do a thing called RMD, which is required minimum distribution. This is basically the government saying, like I kind of just alluded to, we gave you a loan. We said, don't pay the taxes now. We hope you put this money in an account, you grow it really well, and you do really great because the better you do, the more we get. And that's what a 401k or 403b, 457, IRA, that's what all those basically mean, is it's a way for the government to earn more money.
Yeah.
So, but at 73, they're like, time's up. If you haven't started taking some of this money out, you got to take that money out. Also, one thing that we should be talking about too is if you have an inherited IRA before 2020, you do have to take required minimum distributions from those. And then starting next year, everybody from 2020 on has to start taking required minimum distributions from any inherited IRA. So that's if you got one from a family member, loved one, whatever. So, again, this is where you really want to have a plan. You want to really know what's going on and, really want to take some time and say, okay, what should I be doing? And then more importantly, we get the start next year, right? And that's coming right up. And what should you be doing differently in 2025? So It's the year end of 24, but also where should you be positioning stuff in 25? So that's the two things you need to be looking at. So again, if you want to set up that time to talk, 15, 30-minute phone call, all you have to do is text the word visit to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word visit, 800-454-1184, or book directly online at wealthcreatorradio.com.
Imagine for a moment that an intense storm is pounding your house. Will the roof leak? Will the siding peel away? Will your basement flood? If your house is properly built and maintained, you'll be fine. But what about your 401k or your investments? The stock market has had a great run the last few years, but is its current turmoil making you feel uneasy? Are you confident your portfolio is built to weather the financial storm? Now may be a great time to have your retirement plan inspected. Call Eric Heckman of Heckman Financial at 800-454-1184 now. Eric will examine your portfolio and show you if your investments are in need of some weatherproofing. Call Eric Heckman of Heckman Financial today at 800-454-1184. That's 800-454-1184. Investment advisory services offered through Heckman Financial Insurance Services, Inc., a registered investment advisor.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Lou Ann Fulmer here with Eric Heckman. And in our country, medical bills are not only the most common reason for bankruptcies, but they directly cause a whopping 66.5% of them, making them the leading cause of bankruptcy. So my goodness, a healthcare emergency, a catastrophic illness, or even an accident can not only knock you off your feet physically, but also financially. And Eric, I know you've seen this a lot, haven't you?
Oh, yeah, certainly. And I mean, you can't prevent bad things from happening. Obviously, you can try to stay healthy, work out more, get good sleep, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, sometimes there's an accident, emergency, medical diagnosis, and you have to focus on making things get healthier and hopefully helping people, and ideally not focus on the financial side of things, right?
Right. Not have to do that. But, healthcare is expensive. We always talk about the fact that Fidelity, tells us the average 65-year-old couple is going to spend a lot. It is over time, $315,000 on healthcare costs. And that is for a healthy couple, does not include long-term care. And that's where the expenses really go up. So costs can be big when we're talking about healthcare in our country. And that's one thing that you guys do is help people be prepared for the worst, but then hope for the best. So talk about how you help people, keep an accident or an illness from financially ruining them.
Yeah, well, obviously once you're 65, you do have Medicare, and usually it's pretty rare somebody doesn't have a Medicare supplement. So, that does help for a lot of stuff, but there is still co-pays, out-of-pocket type stuff that you have to pay for. And then the probably sneakiest one's really dental. Dental's the one that really, that's the one that really, well, I guess I shouldn't say, sneaks up and bites people, but kind of does.
Yeah.
That one, I think the highest I've had is one client had $28,000 in 1 year of dental work. Once you get the implants and all that stuff, and obviously your teeth don't get better in retirement, right? So and there's not, for some stupid reason, our health system considers the mouth not part of the body almost.
I know.
Right? So,
I can't understand that, because if you have poor teeth, it can affect your heart and so many other things. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And then, also vision and some other stuff. So you do have to be, making sure you have that as really the way we help people is just making sure we count it as a line item. We have your fund, which is all the vacations and trips you want to take. And, you also have to have the medical fund, right? Having some money sitting there that's going to be there, that's going to be accounted for. It's not going to be necessarily every month or every year, but you want to have it kind of in the budget. So that way, when it happens, then you're prepared to be able to, make those co-payments and such. And again, that wasn't even talking about long-term care. That's, like you said, long-term care is even more expensive. That's when you really have to be spending down assets.
And Eric, what else doesn't Medicare cover?
Yeah, well, like we said, dental's the biggest one, and vision, hearing aids. That's something you'd think should be covered for somebody who's getting older. Yeah, overseas care. I mean, if it's super emergency, sometimes they'll cover some stuff, but yeah, not much. Obviously, cosmetic stuff's never really done, and
Darn.
chiropractic stuff. But and then the one that there is a lot of misconception on is nursing home care. So basically, the rule there is if you are in a hospital, you have some illness, and then you get sent to a nursing home for recovery, which does happen a lot. Like say you have a hip replacement or something like that. If you come from a hospital to a facility, the absolute most and pretty rare is they'll pay 100 days,
Right.
Which is 3 months. Beyond that, never, ever. And they'll try to get you out of there even faster than that. So now if you didn't have something that was hospital related and say, you just had an outpatient thing, but then you needed to go into something, then they're not going to cover it.
Ooh.
So, so that's the thing that you have to watch out for because, that long-term care, it isn't covered. And so what you need to do is you need to make sure you've got, some money in there to pay for all those things and a plan. For me, it's not about the first spouse that gets sick. It's what happens to the second spouse, who may have to live 20 years longer without a lot of that money.
Unless, yeah.
And so, that's the plan that you really need to do. And so, what we find is having some tools, having some resources is really the biggest thing. So, one of the things we've put together is a lot of great stuff like Social Security, timing decision, will your money last as long as you do? My book, Worry Less Wealth, and even a link to set up a time to talk with me, Eric Heckman. All you got to do is text the word toolbox to get access to all these great materials. Totally free, just quick downloads, quick reads. Again, all you do is text the word toolbox to 800-454-1184. Again, that's text the word toolbox 800-454-1184 or download directly at wealthcreatorradio.com.
Yeah. And also at wealthcreatorradio.com, you can find out when Eric will be having events too. So all kinds of topics that we talk about on our show, you can sign up there on his website. Thank you for joining us. You are listening to Wealth Creator Radio. I'm Luann Flomer. Eric, what would you say is what most people overlook when it comes to planning for healthcare costs in retirement?
Well, like I said, just a lot of this stuff that's not covered. That's the sneaky ones. And then, really just having it in the budget. Just, one of the things I always talk to people about is, okay, what's your take-home pay today? And let's try to live on, see if we can get that same take-home pay. Well, most people get their insurance through their work. So your take-home pay is after you've already paid for your health insurance. So you have to add that back in, which people kind of forget about. So, and if you're trying to go under 65, oh my gosh, you can talk easily $1,000 to $1,300 a month, per person for insurance if you're trying to retire at 60, 62, something like that. So you better have that in the plan.
Right. Oh, dear. So why don't you talk about that transition that happens when we are working our whole lives and we've been saving for retirement. Then we're in retirement and we need to protect our savings from all kinds of risks. And then specifically right now, what I want to focus on is just the increasing healthcare costs.
Yeah, well, obviously everything just increases in retirement, right? So, so you need to have things growing. You need to have some money that's guaranteed, some money that's going to always be there, but also have some stuff that's growing. There are a lot of great tools out there now. There's some guaranteed for life payments where if you need any sort of long-term care, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be in a facility. It could be home care and stuff, but they'll double your income for up to 5 years. So it's not
That's
really,
awesome.
It's not insurance, but it's going to get you, you already have a lifetime payout coming in. And then if you get extra money, hey, that's just going to help. Right. And, there's some other tools where, you can put in, say $100,000 and they'll triple it if you ever need long-term care. So there's things that you can do that aren't, long-term care insurance where, it's kind of like car insurance. Unless something bad happens, you don't get any money out of it. Right. So there are ways that to plan for this and to really have some money there, when you need it. But again, a lot of it just kind of goes back to having, those 5 areas taken care of, that income plan that shows how much money you're going to live, that you're going to need for the rest of your life. That is the most critical thing to have, is that income plan, knowing what taxes, inflation, everything, all these costs that are included. Then that'll tell us where you should be investing your money. And then obviously the tax ramifications along the way. Healthcare costs, of course, is one of the big five there. And then lastly, legacy. Who's going to get your money when you're gone? So once you have a plan for those 5 areas, I mean, you have a plan even if you didn't do one intentionally.
Right. True.
So not doing any planning is a plan. It's usually not the best plan. It's not, it's when the world happens to you, not for you. And so, what we really want to do is, kind of rethink that and say, okay, well, what can I do to improve on this, right? How can I get this to be a lot more beneficial for me? What are the things that we're going to need? Obviously, there's different ramifications if you're single, if you're married, if you have kids or not, right? Because hopefully the kids might help you, but you probably shouldn't count on that.
No.
If you're married, then okay, there's somebody else that can help for a while, but at some point that may be too much, and you need to start paying for care and such. And then, of course, if you're single, well, more likely you'll need care sooner because there's not going to be somebody there that can jump in, right? So, you need to have a plan for this. You need to figure out all these different things of, who's going to be taking care of your money, who's going to be taking care of you, and then again, planning this all out. So it's not fun. It's not super exciting, right? You'd rather be planning that vacation. But, if you do take the time out and get this done, then it's amazing because then you can have a lot more fun vacations. You can actually build in planning for all that stuff. But I mean, I think, with the whole part about the bankruptcy stuff that you were talking about earlier, I mean, it's just that's sadly just people just didn't plan, right? I mean, we all know healthcare costs are expensive. It's not something that's new, right? They've been bad for decades, and they're not going to slow down ever. So, that's one of the things that we need to do is have a plan for it. So again, if you want to set up a time to talk or get at least our digital toolbox, all you got to do is text the word toolbox to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word toolbox 800-454-1184, or download directly at wealthcreatorradio.com.
If something's worth doing, it's worth doing right. There's a particular time of life this phrase couldn't be more appropriate. How can you know you'll live the retirement you've always imagined? After all, life can be so unpredictable. You've worked hard and saved. Watch your accounts go up and down with the market. Your advisor says, don't worry, you'll be fine. But you still don't feel confident. Eric Heckman at Heckman Financial has a checklist to help you find out if you're on the right track for retirement. If you can check all the boxes with confidence, you may be ready for retirement. If not, Eric can help you address any potential costly mistakes. To get Eric Heckman at Heckman Financial's complimentary checklist, call or text LIST to 800-454-1184. Call or text LIST to 800-454-1184. Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services offered through Heckman Financial and Insurance Services, Inc. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Hi, thanks so much for joining us today. I'm Lou Ann Fulmer here with Eric Heckman. At least 70% of people over 65 are going to need some type of long-term care, and that's according to the Administration on Aging. So it's not really a sure thing, but there's a good chance that you or your spouse are going to need some type of long-term or nursing care of some sort. The costs, of course, vary by location, but I guess the median cost of a private room in a nursing home is over $100,000. So, Eric, people need to realize long-term care is not cheap. And, like we said before, it's not covered by Medicare.
Well, and it also doesn't cost $100. It's, a shared room in the Bay Area is at least, $10,000 and $10,000 a month to 10 to 12. So, you should be really planning about 150 to, at least 120 to 150,000 right now, and that's before things get more expensive, right?
Yeah.
So these are not things that are covered by Medicare. I mean, when I started 30 years ago in the business, the odds were about 50% that people need long-term care, and it's not that we're falling apart more or something like that. It's just stuff that used to kill you. Now you take a pill for it,
and we live longer.
You live longer, but sometimes your body doesn't really hold on and work out as well. So so that's one of the things that you need to do is have that plan to be able to have that money. Now, obviously, if you're single, you could be spending down all your assets because if you're ill and stuff like that, that's fine. But, especially for a married couple, it could be, it could be really devastating, because if you spend, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 on one spouse, that other spouse may be around for 20, 30 years after that, and not with that money, not with that income, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that, you definitely need to have some planning around this.
Right. For years, that standalone long-term care policy was kind of the only way to address these types of illnesses or whatever. And people used to say, oh, at age 60, you got to get your long-term care policy. But there's better options for today's retirees, aren't there, Eric?
Yeah, well, the hard part about all those policies is they used to all brag, we've never had a rate increase. We've never had, now you can't find a company who has not had a rate increase. And I've seen 100%, 37%. My record is 268% over 3 years.
Whoa.
And so it's more about, if you've got traditional long-term care, it's more about how much are you going to cut? How long can you keep affording to pay for it? So it's really, really tough. And again, it's there's high odds that you'll need it, but it's also pretty expensive, and the premiums are not guaranteed. So if you bought it today at one price, in 5 or 10 years, it could be, 50%, double, triple, quadruple. And, I've run into people where they're, in their late 70s, early 80s, and considering dropping their long-term care. Well, when do you need it? More likely, right then.
Right.
But it's gotten so pricey. I mean, literally for some people, it's, their property tax is cheap compared to their long-term care. And it's like their biggest bill now. And so, there are better options. There are some really great products. There's some stuff that's tied to life insurance where you just dump in money once and you're done. And then if you never need it, it pays out some money at your death. If you need it, they use it up. And, that one I like just because one of the two is guaranteed to happen.
Right.
Right? So,
yeah.
And then, there's also some annuity products where they'll sometimes double or triple for long-term care. So there are some things where, you can get some extra benefits without really giving up money. There's some trade-offs, obviously, right? You're not going to make maybe as much or earn as much, but you're going to have a lot more benefits if you end up needing them. And like you said, 70%, especially if you're a married couple. Well, if it's 70% and there's two of you, right? That means one of you should probably, statistically speaking, have some issues. So, definitely time to be looking for some better options out there.
Right. Now, would you, I mentioned, they used to say at age 60, you need to look for long-term care. When's the ideal time to start preparing for these long-term care needs?
Well, I really like to do it while somebody's still working.
While working, okay.
Yeah. So say if you're going to retire at, say, 65, like, there's one account where you can fund it for 10 years and be done with it. Well, then that means 55 would be a great time to start that, right? Because you could be, dumping the money in while you're still working. It doesn't cost you as much. It's not something that then you need to add into your income plan for retirement, because it'll be paid in full by then. And so that's where I think it's a lot better. And then obviously, if we're talking about some of these tools where you're repositioning assets to get long-term care benefits, the sooner and earlier you do them, the better off you're going to be. So I would say, really late 50s is kind of the ideal time, even early 50s potentially. But I mean, you can still do it in your 60s. It's just going to be, less benefit, less timelines, right? So just like anything, the sooner you do it, usually the better.
Right.
So.
And so this is all part, when we talk about having a plan for retirement, healthcare is even part of it. So we have a lot of offers that people can get in on. And I want to talk about your toolbox and all the educational materials that they can get out of that. So why don't you kind of go into that a little more for us, please?
Yeah, so the toolbox is just a real fast way for people to get a lot of great data. So, it's got some short things to read, 10, 15 pages of like, will your money last as long as you do? Are you paying too much taxes in retirement? The Social Security decision, even empowering women investors. Obviously, it's got a link to set a time to talk to us for no cost, no obligation. So, if you have got actually direct questions, and you want to talk to me, Eric Heckman, you can do that. And, and then even we have a link for a digital download of my book, Worry Less Wealth. So, there's a lot of great stuff up there. It's stuff that, you can just get educated. And then, once you have some of that information, then yeah, reach out to us, see if you want to talk some more or not. But I think to me, the biggest thing is just having people get educated first, getting some of that information. There's so much confusion out there. So yeah, get some real data. So all you have to do is text the word toolbox to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word toolbox to 800-454-1184, or download directly at wealthcreatorradio.com.
And you're listening to Wealth Creator Radio with Eric Heckman. I'm Luann Fulmer. Eric, let's talk about people who are single and what do they need to be thinking about in case they're incapacitated and unable to make decisions on their own?
Well, first and foremost, they really should have a lot of this stuff, set up correctly, right? Have a trust. Yeah, if you got a trust, that means you have a trustee that'll take care of your money. And then typically part of that trust will also be a thing called a durable power of attorney for not just healthcare, but also for financial management. Because can you imagine you're 80 years old and you're required to take money out of your IRA every year or if you don't, it's a 25% penalty. Well, who's allowed to take money out of your individual retirement account if you're ill?
Right.
Right?
Yeah,
it's individual.
Yeah.
And so, so that'd be one thing to be, thinking about, making sure you have that set up. And then, also who would be that person for maybe if somebody who's really good with the money side, maybe somebody else who could, make sure your care is being taken care of and you're in a good situation. So, don't have to necessarily be the same person for both, but yeah, you really need to have something set up because it's only you, right? So, if you're not going to take care of you, who else will? So yeah, you definitely want to do that before things happen, right? And plan ahead.
Right. And then finally, how does estate and legacy planning come into play when we're talking about all of these healthcare and long-term care needs?
Yeah, well, I mean, how you're spending down the assets, obviously, like I said, the trust, the durable power of attorney, all that stuff's kind of usually in the estate planning kind of time frame, when you're working with that attorney. So yeah, getting that all set up, making sure that's all in the right spots. And sometimes there is special planning that you need to do for somebody who's getting care. It could save you some money. So if you're in that situation, reach out to us for sure. You don't want to mess up things. You want to do things the right way so you can get a little bit more government benefits ideally and not give it all away. So again, we can't really prevent those bad things from happening in life, but we can plan for them. And that's really what we're here for. So, I created the blueprint to worry less wealth for that income, investment, tax, healthcare, legacy plan. Again, we've got a lot of these great tools in our digital toolbox. All you got to do is text the word toolbox to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word toolbox, 800-454-1184, or you can download it directly at wealthcreatorradio.com.
Thinking about healthcare costs, long-term care expenses, and income needs in retirement? How will you afford it all? And what can you do now to help ensure your loved ones will be okay when you're gone? Eric Heckman at Heckman Financial has access to tools and strategies that can help you pursue your retirement dreams without taking on too much risk with your money. Interest rates are the highest they've been in decades, so take advantage of this seemingly once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to help protect your retirement before it's gone. Learn about the tools and features available today that could provide bonuses, potentially adding up to tens of thousands of dollars in additional income when medical needs arise. Schedule your visit with Eric Heckman at Heckman Financial today by calling 800-454-1184. That's 800-454-1184. These opportunities won't last forever, so call now to help protect your future. 800-454-1184.
Hi, I'm Luann Fulmer here with Eric Heckman. So happy that you are joining us today. It's time now for our mailbag segment of our show. I love this, where I bring some retiree questions to Eric and he answers them on the air. So you ready to get started, Eric?
Yep.
All right. Wealth Creator mailbag. Here we go. First question from Mike. I've had a steady corporate job for 35 years, and my wife has taught piano lessons since we were married in the early 80s. Her job helped us pay for groceries and gave us some extra money to put away for the future. But she doesn't have a job with a 401k or insurance benefits. How can I make sure that she'll be okay if something happens to me?
Well, I mean, in essence, the two of them, they do share all the assets, right? Mm-hmm. So that's one thing. she will get the Social Security check of his and Mike's and such. But yeah, I mean, you can look at life insurance. That can be something potentially. The harder part is you get older. If they've been married for 35 years, I assume he's retiring probably pretty soon, right?
Yep.
And so, that's one of the tougher ones is, okay, how are you going to fund it? There are some specially designed life insurance where you can just put money in once, and sometimes those give you even long-term care benefits and some other things. So, and there's some that you can just pay like for 5 years or such. So, yeah, you could do something like that. But, again, it comes down to plan of, okay, how much assets do you have? Is it going to be enough? What happens if one of you are gone? Because, you get basically his Social Security check and then she would get half of it. When it passes away, then that half goes away. So, yeah, definitely time to do some planning and figure out what's the best way to go. But, life insurance can be one solution.
Okay, good to know. Life insurance, that's something new, really, that the insurance companies have come up with. So I love that. That's a possibility for income in retirement. So check it out if you have a question about that. Here's another question as we dig into our Wealth Creator mailbag from Megan. We weren't planning on leaving much for our kids after we passed, but now that our first grandchild has been born, we've changed our minds. She says we should have had the grandkids first. Have you heard that a lot, Eric?
Somewhat, yeah.
Yeah. So her question is there a way for us to leave them each a little something after we're gone?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, you can, first of all, put stuff in a 529 plan. That's owned by you. It's not owned by the parents. And that could be for any sort of education expense from high school on. So, it can be a good way to go if you just want to say, I just want to make sure they get it and they can use it for whatever they want. There's a way to leave it with a uniform gift to minors account where they'll get it when they're 18 or 21. So there's different ways to leave some behind. You could also even leave some of your IRA to them. The only drawback there is they don't have to take some out until they're over 18. So they'll have some timeline between, depending on how old they are. And then once they're over 18, then they have to start spending it out a little bit quicker. So there are some good options out there. It's just, again, what makes most sense? What assets are you using right now? What's the best way to do some of those? One of the best ones actually to leave behind would be the Roth IRA, if they have any Roth money, because that Roth would not only grow tax-free till they're 18, but then grow even a little bit, several years after that even. So, it could be a really great way to have some long-term huge growth on stuff that's, tax-free, right? So, yeah, I mean, it all just takes education. And, one of the things that we've done is we've set up a lot of tools like, will my money last as long as I do? Am I paying too much money in taxes and in retirement? Social Security timing decision, all these types of fun stuff. A copy of my book, Worry Less Wealth. That is all at our digital toolbox. And to get a copy of that, a link for it, all you have to do is text the word toolbox to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word toolbox, 800-454-1184, or download directly at wealthcreatorradio.com.
And I want to mention in this toolbox, is Eric's book that he has written, Worry Less Wealth. And wouldn't you like to worry less, right, in retirement, and about what you need to do? So Eric and his team have been working with retirees for 30 years plus now, and they can help you come up with all kinds of strategies for whatever it is that you're facing or questioning about in retirement. And we just thank you so much for joining us today and spending part of your day with us. This is Wealth Creator Radio. I'm Luann Fulmer here with Eric Heckman. We're digging into our Wealth Creator mailbag today. This next question, Eric, is from Sandra. She says, my husband and I are just starting to get serious about preparing for retirement. So we started going through all of our monthly expenses, and it was really eye-opening. I had no idea where all our money was going each month. But now what should we do?
Spend less? No, just
spend
kidding.
Less, yes.
Yeah. So, kind of curious how old Sandra is, because they're just now getting
it's hard
serious.
To
so
tell,
hopefully they're 40s or 50s and not in their 60s.
Right.
So no, I think one of the best things you can do is the what I like to call the no BS budget. And what that is that's where you look at the last 12 months bank statements, you add up all your withdrawals, and then you divide by 12. So if you're paying off your credit card every month with that checking account, there's no need to go look at your credit card statement. So you can still get your points and rewards, right? But, in terms of the actual bank account, if you add up all those withdrawals, divide by 12, that is really what you spent. And I bet if Sandra did that, she'd find out that they're probably spending a little bit more than she even thought.
I bet.
Because there's a lot of stuff that we don't count, right?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it might be property taxes, might be, car, homeowner, there's some stuff where we pay once a year or twice a year, and then just stuff like Christmas time, right? Gifts and other things. And, some of that might not be ongoing or, repetitious, but, it's one that is there, right? And then also when you think about retirement, you've got 7 days a weekend, not 2. So all those things you don't have time for, hey, guess what? You got time to do it. You got time to go out and have fun. And so that could be one of the problems too, is you might actually be spending a lot more in retirement. So yeah, really what you want to do is have a plan. So once you get that number, because that is one of the critical numbers for retirement planning, is, and you have to have a personalized income plan. So once you have that personalized income plan, you can say, oh, okay, now that I've got, how much I need to spend, how much income, where's that money going to come from? And, then that's when it's pretty easy. But you definitely want to get a good number on that spending level.
Okay. Love it. One last question for you. This is from Dwayne. He says, I'm planning a relatively simple, quiet retirement. I've done most of the traveling that I wanted to do. Only have a couple places that I'd like to see someday. If I don't have anything big planned, is there really that much I should do for a retirement plan?
Well, I mean, you could give it to other people. No, no.
Yeah.
I think you still want to have a retirement plan because you still want to make sure that everything, is on track. Everything's going to be able to let you stay relatively quiet and simple, right? And, one of the other things to look at is, even if you're not maybe keeping all the money when you're gone, you want to still pay the least amount of tax. So maybe you should be doing Roth conversions. Maybe you should be doing some other tax moves just to lower your personal tax bill, because nobody likes paying taxes. I don't care, right? I don't care who you are. Even if you don't need the money that much, you still don't want to pay that taxes if you can help it. And so, that could be one of the things to be, maybe focusing on. And, and then maybe, you start doing some other charitable stuff, or, is there a long-term care plan for it? Have you thought about that? You just want to make sure all those areas of not only just the income plan, but how are your investments doing? What's the risk level? What's the taxes you're going to pay? What's that healthcare journey going to be like? And, lastly, who gets the money when you're gone? So, that's the 5 areas that we cover when we talk about the blueprint to worry less wealth. And, once you have that plan, you can feel confident and feel good and know you're going to be all set. And, that's really what we're here for, is helping people, make sure that they can not only retire, but stay retired and not have to go back to work or worry about everything. We want you to worry less. And that's why it's worry less wealth, right? So one of the things that you can do, again, is grab that digital toolbox. That toolbox is a great thing to have. It's lots of great information in my book, Worry Less Wealth, lots of other stuff about Social Security, taxes, everything in there, and even set a time to meet with me. So all you got to do is text the word toolbox to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word toolbox, 800-454-1184, or download directly online at wealthcreatorradio.com.
Imagine for a moment that an intense storm is pounding your house. Will the roof leak? Will the siding peel away? Will your basement flood? If your house is properly built and maintained, you'll be fine. But what about your 401k or your investments? The stock market has had a great run the last few years, but is its current turmoil making you feel uneasy? Are you confident your portfolio is built to weather the financial storm? Now may be a great time to have your retirement plan inspected. Call Eric Heckman of Heckman Financial at 800-454-1184 now. Eric will examine your portfolio and show you if your investments are in need of some weatherproofing. Call Eric Heckman of Heckman Financial today at 800-454-1184. That's 800-454-1184. Investment advisory services offered through Heckman Financial Insurance Services, Inc., a registered investment advisor.
Hi, we're so glad to have you along with us today. I'm Luann Fulmer here with Eric Heckman of Heckman Financial. And we have come to the time in our show now when Eric gives us a wealth success story. And this is always a really good example of what some retiree or retirees have done where it's worked out the best for them. So that's why we call it a wealth success story. So, Eric, we're always in for some good news. What do you have for us?
Yeah, Luann. So this is about client Mark and Linda, and there's somebody actually that I worked with for quite some time, and he'd originally been in high tech, but then wanted to, I guess, follow his passion or what he really cared about, and he took a job as managing a church, being the business manager, and obviously not. No stock options, right? No other high end stuff, but and then she mostly. Worked as volunteer coordinator, other things, but didn't make tons of money. So they're not the typical Silicon Valley type people, but they just kept saving, kept putting money away, and they have 2 daughters, and one had a set of grandkids, and as so many people do, they go, where do I want to be? Someplace where I don't have my grandkids, or someplace near my grandkids, and they pick the grandkids. Mm-hmm. I would say probably at least a quarter, maybe even a third of my clients end up moving to where the grandkids are. Mm-hmm. And I would say none of them planned that when they were working. So, it's one of those things that you don't even think about ahead of time, really, because you may have not even had grandkids, and your kids may not even been married, right?
Right.
Doing some of these planning stuff. So. Yeah, and they were in Pennsylvania, so they ended up, selling the house here, and they very wisely first rented it over there, which is I always recommend first for people to do, just because of then you get kind of a feel for the area, you get to know, where you want to be and where traffic is, all those fun little things, right? Mm-hmm. And then they bought a house and paid a little bit more than they planned, but we figured it out. We were able to, get enough out of their accounts and stuff, and now they've got a paid off nice big house that they've always wanted. They've finally got it all furnished because they pretty much gave away all their furniture and didn't move hardly anything, which most people do today also. Huh. And, and so now they're all set. And since they don't have that mortgage, since they don't have that cost anymore, and those extra proceeds from the house sale from here, not only paid off that house over there, but, gave them a little bit of extra spending money. And yeah, now we're able to, have them get by, but they didn't have tons of money. They weren't, uber, rich or, anything by any standards, but yeah, they're living the life that they really wanted to. And now they're with their grandkids and well, their daughter too, I guess.
Yeah.
But, should probably include her.
Yeah. We always kind of substitute and go to the grandkids first.
Yeah, exactly. So, and so that's the nice thing. So, the main reason I wanted to point that out is you don't have to necessarily have tons of money. You can always figure out a way to do it. It just takes some planning, and we planned this out a couple years ahead, and figured out when they wanted to retire, when they're going to stop doing their jobs. They did it right, of course, at Medicare age, so that way they could, get that insurance and all that. So, and it's worked out really well for them. Thank you for tuning in to Wealth Creator Radio. I'm Eric Heckman, and it's been a pleasure guiding you towards a more confident and secure retirement. Remember, my responsibility is to always do what's right for you, our client. Together, we can cut out that fancy-sounding financial jargon that doesn't help and focus on what truly matters for your financial future. If you're ready to take control of your retirement planning and build a personalized income plan, contact us at 800-454-1184 and text the word TOOLBOX to schedule a complimentary consultation. If you're looking for more resources and tools to build your retirement future, don't forget to check out the Wealth Creator Toolbox, your toolkit for a secure and confident retirement journey. Until next time, retire more and worry less with Wealth Creator Radio.
Information provided during Wealth Creator Radio is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute investment, tax, or legal advice. Information has been obtained from sources that are deemed to be reliable, but their accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed. Always consult with a qualified investment, legal, or tax professional before taking any action. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Individuals should thoroughly review the contract for specific details of the product features and costs. Income payments and withdrawals from deferred annuities are generally taxable as ordinary income in the year they are taken. Eric Heckman offers investment advisory services through Heckman Financial and Insurance Services, Inc., a registered investment advisor. Any tax advice given as part of this presentation is not intended to be used and cannot be used by the taxpayer for the purpose of avoiding tax penalties or promoting market marketing, or recommending to another party any matter or transaction addressed herein. The views and opinions expressed in the program are not necessarily those of the radio station or its sponsors, and they should not construe as legal, tax, or investment advice. You should always consult the appropriate advisor before making any financial decision. This radio show is a paid placement.